Jack had always considered himself just a regular guy, a mechanic, working day in and day out, fixing cars in a small, modest garage. It was the kind of life that came with simple joys: the smell of oil, the sound of engines humming, and the satisfaction of a job well done. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon, the kind of day when most people stayed inside, snuggled up with a cup of coffee or wrapped in blankets. Jack was just about to close up shop for the day when the sound of tires screeching outside caught his attention. He looked up, expecting to see yet another customer in need of help with their broken-down car. But this time, it was different. A sleek, black car pulled up in front of the garage. Jack's eyes immediately locked onto the vehicle, wondering what on earth someone like that would need from him. The car was immaculate, the kind of high-end luxury vehicle that only the wealthy could afford. Jack wasn't sure why someone like that would come to his humble garage, but curiosity got the better of him. The door opened, and out stepped a woman in a crisp designer outfit. She looked around for a moment, her eyes scanning the street before locking onto Jack. She walked toward him, her heels clicking against the pavement. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice calm yet sharp. "Are you the mechanic here?" Jack wiped his hands on his worn-out shirt and nodded. "That's me. How can I help?" The woman's expression softened, and she took a step closer. "I need some help with my car. It's making a strange noise, and I can't figure out what's wrong. I'm in a rush, so I hope you can fix it quickly." Jack glanced at her car, then back at her, taking in her pristine appearance. She was clearly in a hurry, but there was something about her, something that made Jack feel like she wasn't just another customer. "Don't worry, I'll take a look," Jack said, grabbing his tools and moving toward the car. "Shouldn't take long." As he worked, the woman stood by, her gaze fixed on him. He couldn't help but notice how well she carried herself. Her expensive clothes and perfect makeup made her seem out of place in his garage. Yet there was something in her eyes, something that seemed almost lost. "So what's going on?" Jack asked, trying to make small talk while examining the engine. The woman hesitated, then spoke in a tone that betrayed a hint of frustration. "I've been having problems with the car for a few weeks now. It's a new model, so I don't know why it's acting up, but it's been giving me trouble ever since I got it." Jack nodded, listening intently. "Sounds like it might be a minor issue. Let me check it out." As he worked, the woman stood still, watching him closely. Her presence was almost magnetic, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her than met the eye. He'd fixed his fair share of expensive cars before, but something about this one felt different. It wasn't just about the car, it was about the woman, her aura, her energy. When Jack finally figured out what the issue was, he took a step back and wiped his forehead. "It's a simple fix. Just needed to tighten a few things. Should be good to go now." The woman raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "That was fast. Thank you so much." Jack smiled, feeling a sense of pride in his work. "It's what I do. Glad I could help." The woman reached for her purse but then paused. She looked at Jack as if debating whether or not to say something. Finally, she spoke. "You know, I've been in and out of car shops for days and I've never met anyone quite like you." Jack blinked, surprised by her words. "What do you mean?" She smiled, though it was tinged with a hint of sadness. "You're different. You don't just fix cars, you actually care. You're not like the others, the ones who just look at the price tag or the time it'll take." Jack was taken aback. He wasn't used to people noticing his efforts. To him, fixing cars was just a job, a way to make a living. But hearing her words made him feel something he hadn't felt in a long time: appreciation. "You're not just a mechanic, are you?" she continued, her voice soft. "You have something more, something that no one else has." Before Jack could respond, she handed him a business card. "I'm the CEO of a tech company. We're expanding, and I'm looking for someone with real skill, someone who understands the value of hard work. I think you'd be perfect for the job." Jack stared at the card in disbelief. A CEO of a tech company? This woman with her expensive car and high-end suit was offering him a job? I don't know what to say," Jack stammered. She smiled again, a hint of warmth in her eyes. I know it's a lot to take in, but think about it. You've got talent, and I could use someone like you on my team. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, Jack couldn't speak. He'd worked in this garage for... Jack sat there for a long moment, the business card in his hand, the weight of her words pressing down on him. He had always thought of himself as just a mechanic, just someone who fixed broken things for a living. The idea of working for a CEO, someone so far removed from his world, was almost laughable. Yet the look in her eyes, the sincerity, made it hard for him to dismiss it as an empty offer. "Look, you don't have to decide now," the woman said, seeing the uncertainty in his eyes. "Take the card. Think about it. I'll be here when you're ready." With that, she turned and walked back to her sleek car, slipping inside as if nothing had happened. But to Jack, everything had changed in that moment. He stood there, holding the card, unsure of what to do. He had always been content with his quiet, predictable life, but now, a world of opportunity, a world he never dreamed was possible, was being handed to him. Jack didn't know why, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this woman wasn't just offering him a job. There was something more, something between them that couldn't be explained. He thought about the way she had looked at him, how different she seemed from anyone he had met in his life. It was as if, in that moment, she had seen something in him that no one else had. The next day, Jack couldn't focus. He tried to go about his usual work, fixing cars and attending to customers, but his mind kept drifting back to that encounter. Every time he reached for a tool or tightened a bolt, his thoughts returned to the offer she had made, the job, the life that could await him. But there were so many unknowns. He had always been a mechanic. He had worked for himself, and he was good at what he did. But could he really leave all of that behind? Could he leave the life he knew for something entirely different? As he sat down for lunch in the small break room, Jack couldn't help but replay her words in his head. "You're not just a mechanic, Jack. You have something more. Something that no one else has." His stomach churned as he thought about it. Was she right? Was he really something more than what he saw himself as? Could he really walk away from his comfort zone and embrace something new, something bigger? He thought about his family, his friends, and his humble garage. Could he walk away from all of it to work for someone like her? To step into a life of power and influence? Days passed, and Jack couldn't stop thinking about it. He tried to go about his daily routine, but it was hard to ignore the fact that his life could change in an instant. The thought of it haunted him, tugging at the edges of his mind. Then, one day, as he was working on a car in the back of the shop, he heard the familiar sound of an engine pulling into the garage. He didn't need to look up to know who it was. The sleek black car had returned. But this time, Jack was ready. He wiped his hands on a rag and walked toward the car. When he saw Rachel step out of the vehicle, he took a deep breath and made up his mind. "I've thought about it," Jack said, his voice firm. "I'll take the job." Rachel's face lit up with a smile. "Really?" she asked, almost incredulous. "You mean it?" Jack nodded. "Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but I think I'm ready. I don't want to live my whole life wondering what could have been." Rachel took a step forward, her eyes softening with appreciation. "You don't know how much this means to me, Jack. I believe in you. I know you can do this." Jack smiled, but his heart was racing. This was the moment. His life was about to change, and there was no going back. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was on the right path. A path filled with uncertainty, yes, but also with the possibility of something greater. That evening, as Jack packed his things at the shop, he couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. He had gone from a simple mechanic with no real ambition to a man with a chance to change his future. It was a humbling thought, but it also filled him with excitement. Rachel's offer wasn't just about the job. It was about taking a leap, stepping into the unknown, and trusting in himself. And though he still had doubts, he knew that this was a chance he couldn't pass up. As he locked up the garage for the last time, Jack looked around one last time. The old tools, the dusty shelves, the familiar scent of oil and metal, all of it had been his world. But now, a new world awaited him. "Thank you for everything," he whispered, almost to the garage itself. With that, Jack climbed into his old, beat-up truck and drove home, the feeling of change settling over him. His future was no longer uncertain. It was wide open. And just like that, a poor mechanic had a chance to step into the life he had always dreamed of.